Hey y'all, this is David the Georgia photographer, and today I'm going to sit here in our den, for lack of a better word. I nickname it the Florida room because it has a huge picture window, hence the awesome light. I'm going to do my Leica CL 6-month review. I wanted to use it for a while before I actually tried to come up with a real feel for how the camera actually performs. So I've used it extensively, and I've come to the realization that there's some things I like about it and some things I don't. All right, I'm gonna go over them today with you. First and foremost, I love the form factor, okay? I have it slung up with a wristlet thing from Peak Design. It's their little leash, I think is what they call it. I like it like this. It seems to be a little more nimble than it is when it's hung around my neck. I want to talk about the things I don't like first. That way I end on a positive note. So, the things I don't like first, number one, no back button focus. It doesn't offer it in any way that I can find. I've searched and searched and searched, and I cannot come up with back button focus for this camera. People have told me about workarounds with setting this setting and that setting, and I just wished it had a way of maybe using the center button on the D-pad, or maybe having just some way of back button focusing. Like there's a function button right here. If you could set that function button, I mean, it would be a little inconvenient, but at least there would be one. But there's no way. It's half press shutter or manual focus. That's all you get. That's the biggest complaint I have. The next biggest complaint is battery life. Okay, there's the battery. It's a pretty beefy little battery. Okay, it's about the size of the XT3, give or take. I don't know the number of photos you get with one of these batteries, but I know that if I leave the camera on, it'll go into kind of standby mode after so many minutes of inactivity. It's got a little sleep mode. It turns off the displays to save energy and all that jazz. Even with that, I can normally eke in between 1.5 and 2 hours out of a battery. So if I'm walking around and I'm out all day, you might need a couple of batteries so you don't run out of power while you're out and about. This will get me all day. And rarely do I use all 5, but I do have 5 batteries. Now, I have 2 legit Leica batteries. Not the smartest choice on my part. One came with the camera, okay? I think it was this one that actually came with the camera. But I bought one more that was an actual Leica. Now, I got 2 more. Huh. My bad. I don't remember if the camera come with 2. Maybe it did. I thought I bought just one because I got 2 that are this style and one is a little slightly different. These are all Leica marked. I don't remember. It's been a while. But either way, I bought a legit Leica battery and it was very expensive. And then I've done a little bit of digging on the internet, and Wasabi Power makes third-party batteries. They work perfectly. So you don't have to buy those $70 or $90 Leica batteries. You can buy these little, I think 2 of these was like 20 bucks. They were really reasonably priced. Whatever the price was, it was much more reasonable than the actual Leica branded ones. They work really well, they just don't last very long. And if it's cold, less. You know how battery life is affected by temperature. The battery door is easy to use. I have a lens grip on my Leica because it has this little profile here for gripping it. My hand being a little larger, I wanted that little extra. My XT3 with a battery grip kind of has this on it, and it makes the camera very comfortable in my hand. So I like having that extra little bit. And I like to just carry it by my fingertips, plus I got the wrist strap. So those are my 2 biggest complaints. The next technical complaint really isn't one, but it is one at the same time, and that's in-camera battery charging. I wished it had a USB-C port somewhere on the camera, or even a micro USB port so that I could plug in a USB cable and charge the battery in the camera. The reason I would like that is it gives me the ability to not have to carry an entire battery charger when I travel. I would just need the USB cable, and then I would have a charger. So I carry a little power brick, and lots of motel rooms now have USB ports in the room. So all you need is the cable, and then I could literally just plug the camera in while I go to bed and let it charge a battery overnight, or charge it in while we're going to dinner or whatever. And I could top off my batteries with the camera, and it would kind of make it a little more convenient. But it doesn't have any external ports except for the port where you put the battery and memory card in it, which is the same door. That's the only way to get inside this camera, short of going through the lens opening. Now, guess what? 3. Oh, it's going to strike 12 bells. I'm just going to forge on. Okay. I love adapting lenses to my CL, and I run it almost exclusively with adapted glass. I have since bought a TL, which is an older kind of, it's almost like a point and shoot. It's kind of a neat little camera. I use it for, I've shot street with it, but it's a cool little camera. I have the 23mm Sumicron L mount lens. I bought this when I bought the CL, but I ended up putting it on this camera because I like this package. Different day, different review. But I don't shoot the 23mm on the CL because I've kind of fell in love with using vintage manual glass on it. And it was like that with my XT3. I have two factory lenses with my XT3. The kit lens, and I bought the 56mm f1.2. And that's the only Fuji glass I own. The rest of it's all adapted vintage glass. I have a pile of adapters. I've got adapters for everything. But this is the Leica R mount to L mount adapter, and that allows me to put R mount Leica lenses from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, on my CL. And I kind of like the R mount lenses. They have a real cool rendition. They have a 6-bladed aperture. This is like a 66 model one here. And it renders light stars really cool. It's a really interesting look. So anyway, I like running it with adapted glass. The power switch is in the same place as it is on my XT3 and the TL and my Nikons. It's around the shutter button, same spot. It has these 2 buttons on the top that are also knobs. I run it in manual mode with manual glass because I want the shutter here, the aperture here, and then the ISO is you hit this button and it brings up the ISO knob. So this knob does ISO and shutter speed. This one, technically, if I had a Leica L mount lens on here, would do aperture. It's set up for aperture, but I don't use it because I've got aperture on the lens. If you press this button, it brings up the mode so you can change it from manual to aperture priority, shutter priority. And there's a couple of little video modes, and there's like a scene mode in there. Like I've got it set currently, I think, to pano. It does a in-camera pano stitching deal like the XT3 does. And then I've got the automatic level set because I am real bad to cant the camera. And I finally got tired of my images being skewed with almost Dutch tilt, but not quite, and me having to crop them to be able to square them. So I just decided to cut the level on. That's a southern thing. There's 3 buttons on this side. The top button plays the photos you've taken. There's a photo where I went with a gentleman the other day and we shot some street photos. The second button down, it allows you to go through the menu. The D-pad allows you to toggle through the photos. You know, it's the usual kind of thing. The function button is currently set for white balance. It's programmable. You can set it for a long list of stuff. It's just a multi-purpose function button. I got it set for white balance because I'm typical, like when I do flash photos, I'll set it to flash. It's got a flash setting, so it adjusts the white balance for flash. A lot of the time, automatic white balance kind of screws with it. If it's mixed light, like in here, you got some tungsten and some daylight mixing, and it's kind of struggling to figure out which one you want. I'll go in and play with the lighting, or play with, and as you scroll through the options, it gives you a view of what that white balance adjustment will do to the image. That's kind of nice. I'm pretty sure all cameras probably do that. I just have never really noticed it. Then the button beneath that's the menu button. You hit it, and it brings up what is known as the SL style menu. This was a recent firmware update that Leica came out with. And it gives you this, it's just button type interface. Like if you want to adjust ISO, you just touch the ISO. It brings up a slider. You can drag the ISO slider back and forth if you want. Or you can adjust it with the arrow buttons as well. Then you just hit the center button and it sets that value. And then all of those are adjustable that way. It's got like your shooting options like single frame, low speed continuous, high speed continuous. What else is in here? Interval shooting for intervalometer. And then bracketing is all that's in the shooting button. And it's got your metering modes. It's got the Wi-Fi deal to connect it to the app. Leica Photos app works really well, and I like it. It's actually, out of all the ones that are out there, it's the best one. They all struggle a little bit to do certain things, but it so far has been the less glitchy, and it's the smoothest operating one. It's so far, it's been the best one. They actually done some pretty decent software engineering on it. And then if you hit the menu button again, it brings up, let me get it. Brings up your favorites. Your favorites come up before the regular menu items. And I like that because in Nikon, your favorites menu is at the very bottom. It's the last one. Now, I've never understood why it's not the first one, because it's your favorites. But it's not. It's at the end. And that's just messed up to me. But whatever. That's Nikon. They can do what they want. But they put the favorites menu first. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 choices that you can put in your favorites. I don't know if it'll build a second page of favorites or not. I've never tried. It might bring up a slider on the side so you can arrow through more. I've got them all on one page. And then you hit menu again, and it goes into the main menu. And there's 5 pages of menu items, a lot of set and forget stuff, you know. That's what the menu does. It's not real complicated. That's really all there is to it. The camera is very ergonomic to use. Since it's rangefinder, your nose doesn't hit it. When you look through the viewfinder, you can see, like, I've got it to auto switch. It's like any mirrorless camera. It switches to the EVF automatically when you look through it. And let me get it back on camera mode. But I kind of like the rangefinder format after using it a little bit, because with the center finder, especially if you have the touch screen enabled, when your nose touches the screen, sometimes they'll have like a corner mapped for like, so you can literally reach up and touch it and drag the focus point around. And I found that my cheek or my nose sometimes will touch the screen on my Z6 and make it do things. Or if it's hanging from the strap and it bumps your chest and you're sweating in the summer and it's hot, a drop of sweat can interact with that display enough that it'll move your focus point down to the corner or something silly like that. So it's actually I kind of like that. But it's 24 megapixels. It's got beautiful colors. It's a crop sensor camera. You know, if you want full frame, you got to go to the SL or the M's. But I like this, man, for what it does. It does kind of fall apart at high ISO. The ISO noise starts to get pretty bad past 3200. I'll just be honest with you. You know, I can go to 6400 on my XT3 with very little noticeable noise. It starts to get a little noisy, but not bad. This one is, honestly, 3200 is about the upper limit. I set my auto ISO for 3200. It's that bad. You know, with the Zs, I think I was shooting at ISO 10,000 on my Z6 at night, and they look fine. So, you know, but that is a full frame sensor with larger photo size. So you get that. But for what I'm doing, this works fine. I mean, like at night, if I'm doing much of anything, if I'm trying to get faster shutter speeds at night, then I just accept there's going to be some noise in the photos. It's just part of the game. I like the experience so well. And of course, it has a little hot shoe. I use it sometimes to take thumbnail photos. That's another thing I like about it. The lens adapter has an Arca Swiss plate made into it. So you've always got a tripod plate built into the housing. And unlike the Leica grip adapter, the lens has a cutout so you can change batteries and get the memory card out without having to take the adapter off. On Leica, their grip, you have to remove it to get to that stuff. It just, that wasn't good thinking. I mean, for them to be so smart on so much other stuff, I don't know how they didn't think to cut a hole for the door. You know, whatever. But this one's really nice. I like this one here. And currently I've got the 50mm Sumicron R on it. I have the what the kit that I'm currently using with it is a 20mm f2.8 AF-D Nikkor for a wider angle. And then I have a 135mm LMR, which is a f2.8, 135 f2.8. That gives me some telephoto. And those three lenses pretty much cover about everything I want to shoot with this camera. I've had pretty good luck with all the stuff I've photographed with just those three lenses. So yeah, but overall, I like the camera. I like it a lot. And it's quickly become my favorite go-to camera for just general photography, like street shooting or maybe doing light trails at night or something like that. I like to use this one. It's compact. It takes great photos. Now, the screen doesn't articulate. It is a touch screen. You can interact with it with your fingers. Like I can do stuff like with the photos. I can swipe through them, all that stuff. It has a little tiny display on the top, and all it shows you is the shutter speed, the battery strength. Let's see what else once it gets done booting. It would show you the f-stop if I had a L-mount lens on it, and it shows you what mode you're in. So the only time I've ever really used it is I check shutter speed with it a lot of times. Then I also look on the back. I've done gotten used to using this screen a lot. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a great camera. Now, new, they're pretty pricey new. Now, if you look around, you can probably save a significant amount of money by buying this camera second-handed. I saved $1,000 because the paint right there was scuffed from where these little rings rubbed it. That was the only imperfections I could find on the camera at all. The rest of it was in perfect condition when it arrived. Come in the factory box, had all the stuff, perfect condition, short of those little tiny scuffs from the little key ring deals for the strap. That was it. So you can save a significant amount of money if you won't get one of these second-handed. I bought mine from B&H. It worked perfectly when I got it. I have no complaints. The transaction was smooth and flawless. I can wholeheartedly recommend this if you want a small, lightweight crop sensor camera for street photography or general photography. You know, it's not going to win any speed focusing contests. So, you know, if you're trying to get sports or birds in flight or any of that stuff, this is not the tool for that job. You need a different piece of equipment. But, you know, just to take pictures of your pets, family events, you know, get-togethers or whatever, long as it does have focus tracking. I just don't use it, you know, because I'm using manual glass. But they're great little machines. I haven't filmed video with this one, but I did film a vlog with this camera, and it actually did pretty good. It struggles in dim light with focusing. It has trouble seeing the focus, but the video looked pretty good coming out of that little TL. But I haven't used this one for video, so I can't speak about the video capabilities, just the stills. But the Leica colors look good. My JPEGs I set to vivid color profile, and I don't remember the actual sub settings like the sharpness and the contrast and all that. I normally don't mess with them from factory default. I just select vivid color, and then I write a DNG RAW. Another bonus to Leica is their RAW file format is DNG. This video has went on way longer than I anticipated it going on. If you haven't done it yet, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe. Them buttons is right down there. And until next time, get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see you later. Bye-bye.